Hello everyone. This is welcome to this session. This session is totally dedicated to what goes behind the stage when we submit our paper. Okay, so most of the budding researchers, specifically the budding researchers, have this problem, and I personally have faced this problem that I was not aware what happens when we submit our paper to the journal. Okay, so first of all, we have to select and strategize in choosing a particular journal, and there is an entire strategy for choosing a journal, and it varies like researcher to researcher how they do it. However, it consists of a lot of planning and strategies also involved, which can assist the budding researchers to choose the right journal. But let's start this video with the purpose of what happens backstage, what is expected of us when we submit our research paper. So first of all, we have to choose a journal. For covering that and how we can strategize choosing a journal, I may prepare a separate video if you will require that, specifically the budding researchers. But first we have to, whenever we are writing, and one more thing that is involved over here is that a few researchers do it like they first write a research paper and then select a journal and then start floating it. However, the other researchers do it like they first select a journal and then write the research paper. So what to do first varies researcher to researcher, and I have had and got an opportunity to interact with them, and the approach varies. uh, Over the period of time, you may develop your own strategy, what works well for you, and how you want to go about it. For either first by writing a research paper and then searching a journal, or first targeting a particular journal and then writing the research paper according to that. So it also varies researcher to researcher. This session, we are focusing on what happens backstage when we submit a research paper, because being a budding researcher, we really don't want a paper to get desk rejected, right? So for understanding and for actually knowing the entire process, it's very important for us to know what happens backstage. So let's try to understand that. So after choosing a right journal for ourselves, or in the process, we have to first read the aim and scope of the journal. For this, I would like to show you some journal page. So let's say this journal page, Journal of Business Research, is open at my end. So if I want to float, or if I'm targeting this journal for my research paper, I have to read the aim and scope, because remember, there are very high chances that if our paper is not aligning with the aim and scope of the journal, our paper may get desk rejected. Okay, that is the very first stage. So we really, as a budding researcher, don't want that. So let's, while sorting the journal, let's be very cautious about this point. Then comes the second point, that whether you want to publish open access or subscribed version. So what is open access? Open access means you have to pay to the journal whatever open access charges is, and then your paper will be available in open domain. Okay, however, many budding researchers, including me, do not afford such a huge amount. So I personally publish in a closed version or subscribed version. So what happens in subscribed version? Your paper will be published in a closed subscribed version. So only the institutions and the scholar which have the subscription of that particular journal will be able to read your paper. The rest will not be able to read it. Now, as I as an author, I'm not affording that amount, or I don't want to pay because of any reason. Then I'm publishing it as in subscribed version. Now you might ask that what is the benefit in publishing open access or subscribe? Definitely the papers who are available in open access and the authors have paid for open access, their citations will be more, because that is available in open platforms. More researchers will read that, more practitioners will read that, and that paper will get more citations, right? But specifically for the budding researchers, if you afford, like for all the researchers rather, if they afford it, great. If they don't afford it, there are the options. What they choose, it's up to them, as per whatever they want to publish in, whatever option they want to choose in. But they have both the options, because many researchers ask me that, ma'am, we want to publish in we can't pay such a huge amount, what to do? So remember, all the premier journals, whether it's A star, A, B, or C category, A, B, D, C category journals, they have both the options. Okay, so now as an author, if you don't want to pay, do not pay even a single penny, just publish in subscribed mode. Okay, so this is the first point regarding choosing the journal. However, if you will need some help while choosing a journal and how to strategize that, we may create a video for that. Then come to how to submit. So as I have already indicated, first prepare your submission. Okay, so how to prepare our submission? We have to prepare so many files, we have to check the checklist and the journal page, and we have to read all the necessary files. Like sometimes we have to create a separate file for blind manuscript, separate file for tables, separate word file for figures, separate word file of cover letter. So all these things happens, right? Now then we have to write a cover letter. Now you might ask and have a question that how the cover letter should look like. So usually we can address the cover letter, let's say this journal, we'll go to about section, check the editorial board, and we may address the cover letter to the editor-in-chiefs, right? So this is the way, by their name you can address sir or ma'am, or their name or professor, whatever you want, and then you can highlight and prepare a cover letter. So it is mandatory to have a cover letter. And what cover letter consists of, if you need some help with cover letter, we can separately cover that, but majorly it covers these 3 points. Okay, so always have a separate word file which will be customized and personalized as per the journal you are floating in. Okay, so always remember that do not float a research paper without a cover letter. Then go to journal's homepage, as I am already having a journal homepage open at my end, so always keep it handy and read the basic informations like aim and scope. Then upload your manuscript and cover letter. Okay, so then comes the important part of it. And please note, the interface for uploading the manuscript for all the platforms like Scholar One, for Elsevier, for Emerald is different. Okay, so do not worry about that. The interface are very uh, convenient to interact with, so it may vary. Right now I'm showing you Springer Nature's interface, so this is how they look, and they have different types, right? So you can just submit via it. Then the moment you will submit your paper, you will receive an email with a link, and with that link you can track your submission. Okay, so what stage your submission in, you can easily and very easily track that. This happens when and while the submission. So this is what happens in brief while the submission. If you have even a small question about it or anything about it, you can comment in the comment section, and I will try to address it in the upcoming videos of us. Then what happened after the submission? So all these checks which we have done, if we have done it in all the, we have not missed, we have read the aim and scope, and if we are having a cover letter and all the attachments are there with the declarations, with the all the authors, everything, then after this your paper goes to editorial assignment. If you will miss anything, as in, as a researcher, your paper will get desk rejected. Okay, for reading further what are the common problems and issues which the researchers do, I'll attach this link. You can read it in detail, and if you have any problem you can just comment. So as a budding researcher, everyone, let's make a let's be very mindful of this thing, that we don't want our paper to be desk rejected. Okay, so let's do that. We should be filling in all the necessary criterias. Then our paper goes to editorial board, wherein the journal processes the paper. Then they find the matching expertise in the field across the globe, and then they will review your paper and float it to the editor. An editor will take a call further whether they want, like, what happens. So for example, first, if the journal processes your paper and float it and ask the experts if they are available, because remember, sometimes it takes a lot of time to first find the expertise. Second, the expertise have also to agree to review your paper, right? So it's a long process, and sometimes that's why the journal takes a lot of time, or the editor needs a lot of time. Okay, so let's be patient in this process. After finding the expertise, and if they have agreed, you might see on your track page, or the from wherever link you are tracking your research status, that your paper might show under review. Okay, once the expertise have agreed and started reviewing your paper, then after that your paper will come back to the editors, and then editors will take a call whatever the expertise have advised, right? So this is in short about what happens at the editor. Now editor, if your paper is with editor, then again your paper has come back to the editor. Then peer review. So as I have already indicated just now, reviewers are invited. If they accept, what happens, then they share the reports or the review reports. Then if the revision is accepted, then they will share, we as an author have to do all the revisions which they have advised. Then they will receive the revisions, and then the rounds of peer review. So sometimes it's 1 round, 2 round, 3 round, whatever. So till the time the reviewers are not satisfied, we as an author have to do all the necessary changes which are there. And if you're not doing it, we have to justify. So we have to justify what we have done, why we have done, and how. Sometimes it happens that we the reviewers might not be able to understand our perspective, so we have to elaborate every single point what we have done and why. And if we feel like, yes, this comment is actually enhancing our manuscript's value, then we may undertake that. So let's justify what we are doing and why we have done that. Then comes the final decision on your paper. And then you will receive. So the Syringer Nature transfer desk will be available if your paper is rejected. If they accept it, it will go into the next stage, that is the publication stage or the production stage. Okay, so if this final decision is accept, it will go into the production. If it is reject, then you will get a transfer desk service, wherein you will get a few recommendations from the editor sides, that they are not able to accept your paper. However, here are a few suggestions, or they will recommend you a few journals wherein you can just transfer your paper. Okay. Then rights and open access payments. So as I have already indicated, that if it is an open access, we have to pay. If it's in a subscribed version or a closed access, you don't have to pay any article processing charges. Okay. Then the publication part. So if the final decision they accept, your paper will go into the production after this. Now, what are the common issues? So I feel I have highlighted many, but let's be mindful about these aspects. The plagiarism. So whenever you are floating, or whenever we are floating a paper, there are a few checks which we have to see and do, apart from the few which I have already indicated, like matching with the journal's aim and scope, having a cover letter, having all the attachments in the blind manuscript, not mentioning. Please note, it's a major, do not mention your name anywhere in the blind manuscript, otherwise your paper will be desk rejected. Okay, and before that, we also have to do the plagiarism check. So usually and globally, Turnitin is used for the plagiarism check. So do not forget to first check the plagiarism. Sometimes even We have written a paper by our own ourselves completely, but it catches a few lines to be plagiarized. So let's be mindful about that, and let's be very very cautious and do the plagiarism check. Additionally, also you do the grammar checks and all. It's very very important to check the grammar, and nowadays the AI checks. So please do check all the necessary testing done before we are floating a paper. Then comes the expert advice. Sometimes we need to advise or get the expert advice. If you have your supervisor or anyone to whom you can trust with your research paper, you may get some advice. Otherwise, please let's address these issues. Then the journal guidelines. So aim and scope is very mandatory apart from the author guidelines. So for here, if I have to check on what are the guidelines for the author, I have to reach every single line in this guideline, and my paper should be aligned with that. Otherwise, my paper might get desk rejected. Duplicate submissions. So it's a big no in the research arena. Never ever submit your paper, the same paper, in in many journals at a time, right? So always remember, one paper, one journal. Never ever do that, because always remember it will hamper your image as a researcher. And once the paper has rejected, then you can submit. One journal has rejected, then you can submit it to the another journal. But never ever have the policy of submitting a single paper to multiple journals. You will get highlighted, and it's not at all a recommended practice. Missing contributing authors. If we have multiple authors, always remember that we have to mention and give credit to them. Otherwise, if we will move ahead without mentioning the author, later on gets a very very difficult task to add on to the contributing authors, right? So let's be very clear on this part. Declaration statements. We have to have an word file wherein we will be declaring all the ethical statements. We have to declare that we have not breached any policy, and we have to be very cautious on that. A few journals have recommended declaration forms. So if you will visit the journals in the author guidelines, you will find these declaration word files, how they are expecting. If you have some doubts related to that, you can write in the comment. I will also share, I will try to share wherever you are stuck. So we will be discussing that. If you have some ideas also, please feel free to share in the comment. It will help me also to learn it. Then comes the missing image, permissions or credit. It's a big no-no in the current AI field, that if the image is first borrowed by someone's, so you have to mention a source, and we should have a permission of using that image. If you are making it at the bottom, write source, author's own creation. Otherwise, let's never ever miss on giving the due credits, whether it's figure or table, to the creator of the figure or wherever it has been published. We have to have particular captions always. So refrain referring to the other figures without giving a due credit. It's a big no-no. But usually in journals, we create our own figures and tables. So let's be very, very cautious about it. So this is in brief what goes behind the stage, budding researchers and researchers. If you have any problem, you can ask via the comment. Different journals have different ways. However, majorly they are similar. Like write your paper, making your submission, navigating the peer review, right? So I will be sharing these link. So if, let's say for example, you are floating your paper to Springer, you can use this link. If you're floating your paper, planning to float your paper to Taylor and Francis journal, because these are publishers, right? The journal might be a part of these as well. So just check who is your publisher, and you can just take your call, like, and refer to these, right? So here are audio as well, which you can read while you're working or when you're doing some of your other tasks. So yeah, you can read this. Then comes the Elsevier. So they also have their own, tips for us as a budding researcher. So how we can find, how we can do. So these are a few tips which we can use, everyone. Of course, it varies publisher to publisher, but this is majorly the way and the things which happens backstage. Okay, if you want to know more about it, like some researchers have the doubt that why journals take so much of time. So we might be covering all your problems in the coming videos. But if you have any issue, please write it in the comment. And if you have any ideas of your own, if you find that yes, you can add on value to any of the information which we are sharing over here, it's a collaborative platform. Feel free to share it. Here I end my video related to how we can start and what are the common things which goes when we try to publish, or specifically at the floating stage, what are the things which we have to keep in mind. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.